Now there's a ton of new things coming to Diablo 2 Resurrected for Season 7. Mega exciting things like access to Diablo 2 Resurrected in Korea has been updated to allow access to 19-year-olds. Wow! Alright, there isn't a bunch of new things coming for Season 7, but unless you've been playing Diablo 2 Resurrected for like 8 hours every single day since it came out, I guarantee you there's some incredibly amazing and fun things that you've never even tried before. Now first off, for new interesting things that could be very fun for you, try a build that you've never tried before. Maybe not one of the most powerful meta ones, or maybe it is and it's one you just haven't tried. Many of y'all probably seen the video I put out just the other day, but right here's one I'm trying. Yeah, this sorceress is carrying a crossbow, and that is the enchant bow sorceress. I think this one's going to be very fun once I get the few gear pieces to get it up and running. Now there are a ton of crazy builds for all the different characters, but just for instance here, I'm going to run through, well, just a bunch of sorceress builds I can kind of come up with off the top of my head. You of course have the Nova Sorceress, the Frost Nova Sorceress, Blizzard Sorceress, Frozen Orb. You can do the Lightning or Chain Lightning Sorceress. You can do the Fireballer. You can do all different types of dual spec sorceresses. You get Orb Hydra. You can do Orb Fireball. You can get Hydra Nova, Hydra Frost Nova. I even put together a Glacial Spike Sorceress that was absolutely wrecking in some of the lower players' counts, but still was working pretty dang good. Very interesting. You don't see that one every day. Or another one that even worked pretty dang good, the Charged Bolt Solo Sorceress. And that's just off of one character. Pretty much all of them have all these different builds that I guarantee you a lot of people probably haven't tried before, because so many people get stuck in rocking the Hammerden, in rocking the Blizzard Sorceress or Nova, or rocking the completely OP Mosaic Assassin. So for this Season 7, if you haven't tried it yet, why don't you think a little outside of the box and try a build you haven't done before. To get the next one kicked off here of something you could try out that's new, probably to you, and that is actually starting off here at the hero selection screen. Now trying the builds was kind of the first one, maybe try a different character, try a different build, but now you're actually going to look at these two little tabs right below after you pick your name. We actually have hardcore mode and pre-expansion mode, or people call it classic. Now, if you want to have every single move you make absolutely incredibly consequential, if you want to risk death at every turn of the corner, every time you see souls, every time you see dolls, your butthole just going to be clenched up like this, hardcore might be the one for you. Personally, it's not my favorite, but for some people, they absolutely love the drama. They love the thrill of just at any moment, it could be the end for them. So if that's you, hardcore it is. Now, next up, right next to hardcore, we have the pre-expansion or classic. Now, this isn't exactly the way it was like launch day of Diablo 2, but it's got a lot of similar stuff. Look at the stash over here. This thing's absolutely tiny. There's no shared stash tab, so it was significantly harder back then. Also, look over at the inventory. There's only one weapon. You don't have 1 and 2 over here. Also, on top of that, the mercenaries, apparently they only stay with you for that one act. They disappear. They can't travel with you between acts, so essentially, they're kind of completely useless, huh? One way they did make it a little easier, though, you can actually buy mana pots over here from Akara. I can remember when I first started playing it back at a friend's house, you could not buy mana pots from vendors, but you can now. It's a good quality of life thing in here, I suppose. Another thing that's different now, back in the day, there were no synergies, but they do actually have the synergies on the skill tree here. I don't know how that affects with the monster life relative to this. I'm not a super avid, experienced classic player pre-expansion, but it is something I'm looking to delve into, and actually I'm planning to start this ladder on pre-expansion. Now this might be a little thing, you see this tab right here, it might look a little bigger than they do nowadays. That's because there's only 4 acts. Because this is pre-expansion, you don't have Act 5, you don't have to get through Ancients, which means you can beat the first difficulty normal, beat Nightmare, beat Hell at a much lower level than you can on regular Diablo 2 Resurrected, which has the expansion. Also, I can't show you right now, but there are no runes in rune words, so you can't put together stealth, you can't put together spirit. Uniques, I don't believe there's any of those either. So really, rares reign absolutely supreme here in Diablo 2 Resurrected pre-expansion. So if any of this sounds fun to you at all, you can give it a try. And the good thing about ladder, if you don't like it, or maybe you just want to play through the game faster, being able to skip Act 5, you can swap your character from pre-expansion over to post-expansion at any moment. The thing to note though, you cannot go back the other way. Next up right here is pick a different endgame for yourself. Now I know a lot of people will say, Phil, there is no real endgame in Diablo 2 Resurrected. Well, no, there is no handheld endgame that the developers said you absolutely have to do, but really that leaves you free to do whatever you want. So right here, kind of my endgame, I guess you could say, it is trying to fully deck out my paladin for the prior season. So this is a Fist of Heaven's paladin, and we got pretty much all the best gear that I'm looking for down here. Everything that really I could hope for. Now, this might not be everyone's endgame. Perhaps you want to try something maybe a little more competitive. You can try to jump into the PvP scene. So player versus player can be incredibly competitive, and it can be a lot different than just running a standard Magic Find type character. Some of the gear in these particular types of matchups in PvP and stuff, I'm not an expert, but I know that can be drastically different gear than the stuff you'd use for magic finding or just in general using for player versus monster. So learning all the ins and outs, all the different gear pieces and techniques in PvP could be really interesting to some people. It's not my cup of tea, but hey, maybe it is for you. Another type of end game you could do, it's something I'm doing on single player, but you can also do it online, and that is rocking a Holy Grail. This is where you try to find every single unique item in the entire game. You can try to encompass it all in one season. You can just do it a lifetime Holy Grail. You can just do it across a few seasons. It's going to be all up to you. That's a good thing about a non-handheld endgame experience. You can kind of set the rules for yourself and have as much fun with it as you want. You can include in that Holy Grail all of the high runes, and you can include all of the rune words if you would like, or don't. It's all up to you. Now, another way you can kind of call it endgame, you can decide how exactly you want to play and how you want to fully deck out your gear, how you want to do your Holy Grail or whatever. Here, I'm just in a game, you can see by myself, just killing monsters. So you could try to rock your entire thing solo self-found. You could try to fully deck out your character while playing in games with other people, but maybe no trading. I've even done it before where I farmed almost none at all. I literally did like one day farming keys, and the entire rest of the season, all I did was trading. That's how I fully decked out multiple characters and just built more value until I just had stacks of runes in my inventory. So turning Diablo 2 into really a complete trading game, just taking advantage of having fun with the markets. Another really expert endgame there is for Diablo 2, if you want to hop into this type of thing, and you could do this for ladder, or this could be off ladder as well. You can get yourself learning all the different map reading techniques. You can get to learning all the different gameplay techniques with different builds and get into speedrunning. This is one that I want to get into and learning a little bit here in the near future. It is tough. There's a lot to learn. All the different map reading is kind of the next thing on the list for me. But who knows, maybe you're even more advanced than I am. It is completely possible. Now, these are just examples of like increased endgame or other endgames that you can try here in Diablo 2 Resurrected. Feel free to put more down in the comments. I'm sure there's something I'm forgetting. There always is, isn't there, fellas? So for this particular, I guess, tip, you would say for the third one here, something new to try for the season, try a different endgame goal. Make sure you let everybody know your season goal down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe up. Peace out, fellas, and keep slaying.